back. We're joined now by Mike Elston, the recruiting coordinator here for the Notre Dame football program. And Mike, obviously, there's no question this is a huge day for the program, and for you in particular, the culmination of a lot of work. We're still early in the day here, but so far, quite a few guys have signed their letters and sent them in, and you guys have a pretty nice class building here.
Yeah, you're right. It's been a lot of work by a lot of people. We got an incredible staff in our recruiting office along with our coaching staff. And so far, it's been like clockwork and no surprises. So on signing day, when there's no surprises, it's a good day.
Always a very good thing. I want to talk to you specifically about some of the kids you've signed and brought in so far. But first, in a more general sense, how would you kind of characterize this particular class?
Well, you know, this class has been a long time coming. A lot of guys committed for a very long time. And so, you know, a very, dedicated group. They made their decision very early. They stuck with it through the process. And a lot of champions, a lot of conference champions, state champions, so guys that know how to win, guys that have fought through adversity and are going to be bringing that championship mentality to our program, along with great students, great guys that are going to get in the classroom, they're going to compete, they're going to do all the right things there, and then also great guys that are going to be, awesome socially, that'll fit right in with the student body.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the things I noticed as I was preparing for today, that you guys have several kids that are coming off state titles as high school seniors. One young man that's a 3-time state champion. As you guys identify the kind of players, no doubt you're looking at strength and speed and skill, but being part of a winning tradition, how important is that to you guys too?
Well, all of the intangible traits are very important, and it's the toughest thing in recruiting to identify and make sure, because the way the calendar works now is you have very little contact with them in evaluation in person. You're really not allowed to see and spend time with the individual off campus until December, of his senior year. So it's really challenging to get in and find those intangibles. But talking with their coaches, seeing their games at times, and seeing how competitive they are, and then obviously their leadership shows through with those things, and then the success that they have is tangible because you can see it in the victories. So it's a huge part of what we're looking for. And so that's like you asked the question, it's a big deal.
When you go out and recruit specific kids, what's the most common question you get asked?
There's a couple things about the Notre Dame, as we get out there, it's a little apprehension about, the academics. Mm-hmm. And so we deal with that right away. And, what we share with the guy is, listen, we wouldn't be here talking to you if we felt like you couldn't do it. And just deciding on whether they're academically motivated or not. There's some guys that get certain grades based off of, hey, they're trying their butt off, but they're just, they're not at that level yet, and they need a little bit more work. Or there's some guys that are lazy, that are underachieving, and you have to just try and find out which guy, is that you're talking to, and decide if they have the actual drive to want a degree. Because here, with the support that they have and the faculty that we have, if they are driven academically to get a degree, they'll get a degree.
No doubt about that. I want to speak specifically about some of the guys that you're going to be coaching moving forward on the defensive line. One young man who's already got his letter of intent in is Darnell Ewell. What do you like about him as a football player?
Well, you know what? I like his consistency. He's, he's a two-way player. He played offense, played defense, and he's really going to benefit from specialized training on just one side of the ball, being a defensive lineman. And so his consistency at the defensive line, his aggressiveness, his physicality, toughness, all those things are in place. He's a huge young man. When you see him walk in the door, it's like, oh my goodness, that's one of the biggest young men I've seen. So he's going to add a presence, with size, and I think that his toughness. Sorry about that.
No problem. He's also got, we were looking at his film earlier in the program, he's also got pretty good athleticism for a guy of his size. And when it comes particularly to rushing the passer, how important is it to identify those guys and find a way to get them in here?
Yeah, the most important, sorry about that, I had some almonds before I came down here. The most important part of what we were looking for in this class for defensive linemen is adding pass rush value. It was up 5 games into the season. We hadn't had a sack from the defensive line, and that's a prideful thing. I mean, these guys they want to add to that. Our current roster guys, they're embarrassed by that, and they want to make an improvement in that area. And so as a staff, we set out to, we need to get guys that can naturally bend the corner and get to the quarterback. And Darnell, I wouldn't say he's a polished pass rusher, but he's got the ability to become a third down pass rusher for us.
Another guy you'll be coaching who is now official is Jonathan McAllister. In your evaluation of him, what do you see as a football player?
Very similar to Darnell, in terms of consistency. He's a guy that's going to bring an energy, a motor. I mean, he flies all over the field, and he's nonstop. And Coach Elko, when he talks to the defense, he's talking about the swarm. We want to swarm to the ball, and he will definitely fit into that regard. Again, he's going to add great value to the pass rush, and then he's got great versatility to play multiple positions along the front. So really like his versatility and his motor. He's an intelligent young man, easy to talk to, great communicator, and with that comes a real good learner.
Sure. On a broader front, I'm curious what the last 4 to 6 weeks have been like for you as the recruiting coordinator, as there's been so much transition on the staff in terms of assigning players to coaches and coordinating recruiting visits. Could you just kind of let the viewers at home in on what that process has been like for you guys?
Yeah, well, it's been a lot of work, as you would imagine, and obviously I'm not doing it by myself. Sure. We got Dave Poloquin, who's our Director of Player Personnel, and he's directly in charge of all of the evaluations. So the moment the transition took place, it was, number one, continuing to hold on to the current commitments and making sure they felt great about the new coaches, the direction of the program, who's going to be coaching them, and all of that. So that was priority number one. Priority number two was to open this thing back up and identify the guys that the new staff wanted to go after. And I think that we did a remarkable job with that. Coach Elko was very instrumental defensively. He was working his tail off even when he wasn't on campus, doing a ton of evaluations on his laptop back where he was. So there was a ton of guys. Coach Lee was doing the same thing. Chip Long on the other side of the ball. It was just the second part of it was just identifying the guys we wanted to go after, and then who was going to go. And strategically setting up all the visits. And so that's kind of an insight to how it went down. It was taking care of the committed guys, along with, for the new guys, introducing themselves to the current roster, and then the recruiting end of it, strategy, who we're going after, how we're going to get them, and how we're going to get them to campus.
By the way, I have to compliment you on the wardrobe. I know you're the recruiting coordinator, but the Shamrock cufflinks, those are a nice touch today.
Awesome. My wife laid those out for me. If I look good when I dress, it's because my wife has dressed me for that day.
Well, she did a very good job. A couple guys have enrolled early in the program, so they're already taking classes, getting a head start on that, eating with the team, working out with the team. When you guys recruit kids, how does one kid come to decide that I want to show up here in January versus in the summer? How does that process happen?
Well, that's on them. That's their choice, and we don't push that issue. It's great when a young man is mature enough and physically able to do that. Some guys, they go to high schools that don't allow it. Some guys aren't mentally and emotionally ready to leave high school, and some guys don't have the academic requirements as of being able to enroll mid-year. So each young man is setting his course, and then they let us know, hey, Coach, I'm thinking about becoming a mid-year graduate. How do you guys handle that? And then we let them know what our process is. And then as we put the board together, their tag's a little different because it shows that they're a mid-year graduate.
And it's still the day is still young here today. You guys have a lot of names in, but some kids haven't even been allowed to sign yet because it's not 7 o'clock in their time zone. What does the rest of the day look like for you and your staff?
Well, what we're doing is right now my phone is blowing up. You can see I have 15 messages, and most of them are to the underclassmen that I've reached out to this morning that are calling in. Getting with the staff, because in 12 months from now, it's going to be their big day, and we want them to have our number in their phone, so they're calling us on signing day next year, and we get them around the staff and talk to those guys. So it's a lot of 2018, especially now that the rush of the NLIs are done, and we got quite a few of them in. We're only expecting another 4 or 5, so we're well underway.
Yeah, it's a good haul. That was my next and probably last question for you is how long do you get to exhale and breathe before 2018 becomes your top priority?
Well, right now it's happening right now.
Yeah.
A young man trying to FaceTime me. So once we get off of the air, I'm gonna jump on the phone with these guys, and it's rolling. It's been rolling.
Yeah, we'll send you right back to work then. I know
Thanks,
we'll talk
Pete.
to you later
Appreciate
today,
it.
but
Yep. I appreciate
good
that.
job and congrats on the haul so far. And with that, let's throw it back to the equipment room where Jack Nolan is standing by. Jack?